First of all, I'd like to thank NAACP, Mr. Jim Vincent, and the organization. And I'd like to thank, in addition to that, the state of Rhode Island. This is quite an honor to receive. I'm very humbled in regards to actually being acknowledged. What we do, what I've done, has not been for recognition. The pandemic has really affected all of us. And with that, there became a yearning in regards to what can we do as a community. And I think that's very important when we start looking at community and understanding exactly, what we're called to do. And we're called to help our brothers and our sisters any way that we possibly can. And this pandemic has been devastating, not just in the state of Rhode Island, but across this nation. But it also has been, in a very prophetic way, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing because it has allowed faith leaders to really get out in the community and engage themselves. As president of the Ministers Alliance of Rhode Island, it has really opened up parameters to do different things. As pastor of Bethel African Methodist Episcopal Church in the city of Providence, state of Rhode Island, it has allowed myself as a pastor and as a minister to do extensive outreach. God intentionally knocked down the walls so that we could minister in our community. And so receiving this award, we recognize that COVID is a pivotal point. COVID allowed my church to become involved in vaccinations and testing. And we've been doing that for 16 months. And we graduated, and now we do it twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. And because we see that there is a continuous need. And it was that engagement that really created a lot of collaboration. Though I am receiving this award, I could not really ignore Secretary Womazzetta Jones because she was very instrumental in identifying what she saw the church was doing, what she saw the Ministers Alliance was doing, and say, Pastor Jenkins, what can we do, or what are you seeing as a community of faith leaders? What are you seeing in your community that we can actually respond? And so it was that empathy that was being shared because Secretary Jones was unity, particularly the African American community, particularly our BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous people of color. And that became extremely important. And out of that conversation came something very unique because we were talking about vaccinations. And so let's be honest, vaccinations in regards to the African American community was not on the radar. And so that even took some convincing for myself. And so after we looked at it and say, if we are going to be leaders of faith, and if we are going to encourage our community, we need to understand what we're saying. And what came out of that conversation, and Secretary Jones was with us along with probably about 15 or 20 other faith leaders, was faith in science. And faith in science mushroomed. And what faith in science does, as faith leaders, we recognize, even in the midst of all that is going on, we trust the science. And I know that may be difficult for people to understand, but we also recognize that there are African Americans and people of color that have been engaged in developmental stages of this particular vaccination. And we trust the science. So we don't want to see we don't see our community fall to the wayside. And that becomes extremely important. And so COVID was a fundamental platform for us. Out of COVID, we were also allowed to receive a grant, a $100,000 grant through the Faith and Science, through CDC Community Catalyst Program. And what that has done, that has allowed us to be able to establish more vaccination sites. We were able to have a person that lead, Lauren Nance, and she leads that effort now. And so she is in the leading role in regards to establishing and bringing more vaccination sites to our community. And when we look at what is going on and what has happened, one of the major pivotal points was the vaccination weekends. I worked very close with Dr. Luis Munez, and we were able to put together identifying that we need to be able to support our community. And in that, we were strategic in making sure that we were able to vaccinate over 7,000 persons in our BIPOC population. And so that was instrumental. And so when we look at all that is going on, I even though I accept this award humbly, I did not do it by myself. There were a series of people, the Ministers Alliance, the Faith and Science, United Way of Rhode Island. I mean, there are people that are instrumental into allowing this to come to fruition. But at the end of the day, beginning of the day and in the middle of the day, it was God. And so God orchestrated all of this. Even in the midst of what folks would say was a tragedy, God created a blessing. And so it becomes very important that even though we have been able to come through this and are on our way out, and we've lost some along the way, there's a message for us. We are a community. And with the community, we are a foundation. And with the foundation, nothing shall move us. And so I thank you. I thank the NAACP. I thank Jim Benson. And I'm humbled. Again, thank you. God bless.